Your cardiovascular system consists of three key features. These are 1. The fluid, which is your blood. 2. The pipes, which are your blood vessels. And 3. The pump, which is your heart itself. This video focuses on the internal anatomy of the heart. However, before we dive into your anatomical heart, let's first think about it in a slightly abstract way. Your heart is kind of like a little house with 4 rooms, or chambers, that for now, we'll think of as looking a little like this. The top 2 chambers are called atria, or atrium in the singular. You have a right atrium and a left atrium, while the bottom 2 chambers are called the ventricles. You have a right ventricle and a left ventricle. All 4 of these chambers are important because they hold blood at different times during each heartbeat cycle. We'll go into this in much more depth in a later video, but for now this will do. Both atria have a little one-way door that connects them directly to the corresponding ventricles below. These one-way doors are called valves, and they're important because they mean blood can only travel through each heart chamber in one direction. This means blood cannot go backwards around your body. Next, let's think of your heart as being kind of in the middle of a figure 8 network of blood vessels. The top loop of this figure 8 leaves from your heart's right ventricle through another one-way valve, goes around your lungs, and returns to your heart's left atrium. This top loop is called the pulmonary circuit. Pulmonary is a word that relates to the lungs, while circuit refers to the network of blood vessels that make up this top loop of pathways. So pulmonary circuit literally means pathway around the lungs. The bottom loop of the figure 8 leaves from your heart's left ventricle through yet another one-way valve, goes around everywhere else in your entire body, and returns to your heart's right atrium. This bottom loop is called the systemic circuit, as it circulates around your entire body system. Okay, now let's actually have a look at a diagram of an anatomical heart. First, let's start with the general shape of the heart. The walls of your heart are made of several different layers of tissue. This is discussed in some depth in another video, but for now, all we really need to remember is that it is mostly made of muscle. This heart muscle is called myocardium. Then you have the 4 heart chambers. We'll start with our right atrium, then the right ventricle, then the left atrium, and finally the left ventricle. The one-way valve between your right atrium and your right ventricle is called your tricuspid valve, while the one-way valve between your left atrium and left ventricle is called your bicuspid valve, or sometimes your mitral valve. A good way to remember which side your tricuspid and bicuspid valves are found is to remember that you try before you buy. Attached to both the tricuspid and bicuspid valves are the chordae tendineae, which are themselves attached to the papillary muscles along each of their respective ventricle walls. The chordae tendineae and papillary muscles have one simple job, and that's to help make sure that the tricuspid and bicuspid valves keep working as one-way doors, letting blood in, but never letting blood back out. Your artery that leaves from your right ventricle and goes into your pulmonary circuit is unsurprisingly called the pulmonary artery, while the veins that return from your pulmonary circuit and lead back to your left atrium are called your pulmonary veins. Your artery that leaves from your left ventricle and goes into your systemic circuit is called your aorta. While finally, the veins that return from your systemic circuit are called your superior and inferior vena cava. Finally, I should mention that you have two other one-way valves. The first one is called your pulmonary semilunar valve and is located between your right ventricle and your pulmonary artery. And the second one is called your aortic semilunar valve and is located between your left ventricle and your aorta. And there you have it, the anatomy of the human heart. The next episode of Basically Human 101 tries to make more sense of all this anatomy by taking a much closer look at the way blood actually flows through the heart. A printable version of this heart diagram can be found in the link below. Thanks for watching.